Pierre Le Manh joins me, CEO of PMI.
Sorry.
Yes.
Are we already recording?
Yes, we're live.
Okay. Oh, we're live. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Wonderful. Because I wanted to tell you how to pronounce my name properly.
Oh, please, let's
People
start
don't know
there.
that.
That's a
It's
good way to start.
Le Manh.
Le Manh.
Yes.
Pierre Le Manh.
Yes.
Perfect. My
Wonderful.
French is a
Thank
little
you.
rusty. I know a little bit.
Actually, it's a Vietnamese name.
What? Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why people try to pronounce it the French way, but
Oh.
it is not French.
Well, there you go. The more you know. We're going to do language class. A little later. No, just kidding.
So Americans say Le Manh.
Le Manh?
Yeah, which used
Pierre
to be
Le
a
Manh?
good thing. You know,
Oh.
taxi drivers liked you, but now they feel like, am I going to get paid at the end of the trip?
We're going to just change things and do stand-up with Pierre Le Manh. CEO of PMI, and you're getting some big questions for 2025.
Okay.
We were discussing this in advance. You have some huge questions that you're getting a lot. Would it be okay if we ask you what those are?
Sure.
Cool. So the first one, or asked to have you tell the audience what those are, is about project success. And so how should project management evolve in 2025? You talk about this. You talk about changing focus from project management success to simply project success. That for me, initially I was like, I don't understand the difference. So can you unpack that a little bit for everyone?
Sure, of course. You know, project managers have long seen their performance being measured on what we call the triple constraint, right? So basically delivering on time, on budget, on scope, compared to something that they were asked to deliver on, right? The problem with this is that you may very well deliver on time, on budget, and on scope, and people feel that the outcome of this project is actually a failure.
Oh.
Right? So, especially in these times of automation through AI and all the transformations that will come, and we might talk about that because that's another question, I feel it is extremely important to rethink, to reframe the accountability and what project professionals are in charge of. So we actually launched the largest ever research project on project management. We studied 10,000 different projects, and we came up with a new definition of what is project success. And that new definition is project success is when the value that is delivered was worth the effort and expense. When the value that is delivered is worth the effort and expense. So that's interesting because, first of all, it becomes an equation that you have to play with. You can reduce waste, you can increase the value, but it's always in relation to. Second, because it's a lot about perception as well. The perception of value, the perception even of waste, of effort that you've spent. People don't feel the same way about the effort that they spent on doing something depending on the way it is managed, on the way you manage themselves if they're a team. So the perception aspect matters a lot as well. And then finally, it's a lot about ownership, right? It means that you have to expand your thinking and what you feel responsible for beyond the requirements that were potentially initially given to you.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because you could manage a project to perfection and the project wouldn't succeed. So it's not the project manager's fault. If they actually executed their job well and the project didn't succeed, that's a more broad problem.
But
So
the
that makes a lot of
problem is that
sense.
if this is the way you think, then the issue is you will still be associated to a failure.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't want that. We want our profession to be associated with success.
Right,
That's
absolutely.
why we want to go from or beyond project management success to project success.
Absolutely. Another big question you're getting for 2025 is this idea of perception of value. This is fascinating as well. Isn't tangible, like concrete, tangible value more important than perception of value? What's the difference there and why does that matter?
In the end, if there is value but nobody sees the value, perception is reality, right? So what we're talking about here is to make sure that as a project professional, you manage the perception of value that is created. And that goes two ways. You know, on one side, you need to make sure you listen to your stakeholders, all of them. Could be, of course, your bosses, but could be the end users of your project, the consumers. Could be the people who fund your project. Could be the citizens, if we're talking about projects that affect communities. So understanding how they feel about the outcome of the project is very important, but also managing this proactively and selling your project becomes a key component of your role as a project professional, especially once you reach a certain level of seniority and you lead large projects.
And project success, it's not a binary thing, it's a continuum. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we tend to summarize project success in yes or no, as it been a success or a failure.
Yeah.
And what we've measured at PMI is that, in fact, you have about half of the project, a little less than half, that are seen as a success, about 12% that are seen as a complete failure, but then a whole 40% in between, where it's not a complete failure, it's not maybe at the level of success that you were expecting, but it's somewhere in between. And it's very important to recognize that, because there's a big distinction between complete success and complete failure. And what is in the middle is what you really want to work on to try and move them on the right side of success.
Interesting. You also get a lot of discussions and questions about AI. This is like, I think it's going to be like the conference theme almost. The unofficial conference theme is AI. I know PMI is really digging in deep to AI as well. Why? Why is that? I think we can guess, but why is that? And how do you see this contributing to successful projects?
Yeah, two reasons for that. One is AI is transforming profoundly, like for most knowledge workers, the way project managers work. Lots of tasks get automated. It's a lot of augmentation of what you do. When you manage your stakeholders, you use generative AI to improve your messaging, to manage or even personalize the way you communicate to certain stakeholders. So there are multiple ways of leveraging AI. It transforms really, truly the way project professionals work. But then on the other side, it's also very clear that there are so many AI transformation projects out there in so many companies, with so many governments or nonprofit, that someone has to manage that. And project professionals are the ones who are managing these transformation projects. And if you want to manage an AI transformation project, you better know a little bit about AI and have some experience using it yourself. So for us, for both these reasons, it's been very important to make that move. We invested a lot in AI. We launched software platforms, AI-based, that help people do their jobs. We launched professional certifications for people who want to learn how to manage an AI transformation project. And of course, we have multiple courses to help people leverage AI in the best possible way.
I was listening to the panel. We have a little stream from the panel in here, and maybe we'll fit another question on innovation in, but if you don't mind, I love what you said about AI amnesty. A while ago, I had a corporate job, and I was using tools that I probably wasn't supposed to. Nobody tell anybody. But you mentioned that a totally different way of looking at this, which is granting everyone AI amnesty because they're using the tools they probably shouldn't, and you should kind of grant them. I want you to explain this. It's a fascinating topic.
I think leaders tend to ignore that people are smart, and they try to experiment tools, especially when they're not expensive. It was the case before. People would use, Slack before COVID, and Dropbox, all these things may be outside of the control of IT. It's the same that is happening with generative AI. And actually, you want that. You want your teams. You want everyone to actually experiment AI as much as possible. Now, the problem is, many people do that in a way that may not be exactly compliant with your company's rules. And if you want to help them, if you want to also understand how they use it and how to leverage AI in the most positive way for your company, my suggestion is to declare an AI amnesty so people can come clean, explain how they use Gen AI in their work, and then you, learning from that, try to help them do it in a more safe way, in a safer way, in a more responsible way. But that won't happen if they don't have the psychological safety of being able to come clean.
Yeah, that's a fascinating observation because, I was one of those people using the tools. I was trying to experiment, and I wasn't doing this off book. I was actually trying to be better at my job.
Absolutely, that's what people do. They're not doing this just because they don't want to be compliant. They're doing this because they feel
they want to get better at their job.
Exactly.
It's a really good approach. Last 48 seconds here. What's that one last final thing that we can leave managers with that they can drive innovation within their organizations? This is another big question you've been getting this year about next year.
Yeah, the thing with innovation and this idea of failing fast and right to fail, there's a wrong way of doing that. And the wrong way of doing that, in my opinion, is this spaghetti on the wall approach, right? So you throw a dish of spaghettis and see what sticks. That, I think, is a negation of leadership.
I agree.
I'm a great believer in being very intentional in your strategy, in your purpose, where you play, where you allocate your resources. In that framework, of course, along the journey, people will fail, and you want people to try within this context of a purpose and a strategy.
Absolutely.
Failing is learning.
Yeah, you're throwing spaghetti in the wall, all you have is a mess. Pierre Le Manh, did I get it?
Yes.
CEO of PMI, thank you so much, of course, for the sponsorship of the Global Peter Drucker Forum, and of course, discussing your big questions you get for 2025. Thank you so much. Up
Thanks
next,
for having me.
Alexander Alonso will be in the studio here in the latter part of the hour. I'll be asking him about AI as well within the workplace. Stick around, everyone.